No, I think they're curious about how how that came about and things like that. So
Okay. All right, very good. I assume you can see the slides.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started then. So this is the agenda, roughly the same format as previous calls. General updates at the beginning about membership, financial, etc. Then a bit more technical update of the different activities and other matters, organizational. Then we go quickly through the events, upcoming events that we have, and the same conclusion slide as always. All right, so that's the curves from the end of July. Same trends. We are almost at the same membership level as we were at the end of last year, which is encouraging. I think by the end of the year, we will be in the order of maybe 6 to 10% ahead, but still lower than the peak that we had back in 2018. But we are ahead from the numbers of last year, so that's good. Even more encouraging are the numbers for the students, where we already have a larger number than what we had at the end of last year. And typically, this number keeps going up until December. So that's encouraging. However, as we all know, we have some headwinds, that the industry is facing with schools, reduced enrollment and, programs discontinuing. And that's not going to go away. So we have to constantly keep active about attracting new people, either from traditional disciplines or even from other disciplines. It's critical for our industry, I think. And we have a lot of technical challenges for IT people, for others, and I don't see why we couldn't do that. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the membership. Nothing else really to mention. Let's go ahead and go through the financials for this month, the last couple of months, actually. Robert, share the slides. Please go ahead, Robert.
Yes, there's not a whole lot of financial transactions this year. So on the table on the right shows the cash out. Those are our expenses. We had 2 expenses to keep our Wix website going, the domain and the actual Wix premium plan. And the income was from the symposium. Greg was very helpful in getting us our allocation from the symposium, which ended up being $2,500. And I have a subsequent slide on that. And then on the table on the left, you can see our account balances roughly stayed the same, $2,000 more since the last time we met. And the only remaining commitment that's big is the Drillbotics documentary. And I'm just waiting to hear the voting response. That's so we can pay that invoice.
Yeah, I have a bullet on that on a later slide, but since you mentioned it, Robert, we might as well bring it up here. So for this kind of votes, we need 75% of all officers and subcommittee, board and subcommittee members. The total number is 24, so we need 18 votes. As of this morning, we had 15. So if any of you haven't voted yet, please visit the new website, and you will see there under groups, the polls, and you can go ahead and cast your vote. And as soon as we have that 18 number, we're going to make the payment to David Gibson. Remember that this is money that he raised for the production of this documentary. So it's not, so to speak, out of pocket for us. But yeah, to be technically correct, we have to wait until that 18th vote. So next slide, I suppose.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
This is just updated from our last meeting. The 2 tables on the right show the reconciliation of the drilling conference, the symposium at the drilling conference. And starting on the very far right, the SPE accounts just shows the registration and the credits we are allotted from SPE, minus the expenses, and that's where the $2,588 came from. And then the middle table shows the additional sponsorships we collected in the DSATS accounts minus the expenses we had to pay, given the surplus at the very bottom. So again, thank you.
Very good.
And Demetrios, we don't really need to go over the next two slides. They're just kind of redundant information.
Okay. Very good. Any questions for Robert or myself?
Yeah,
about...
hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone, so I don't have a screen today. I just wonder, what is the surplus, Robert?
It was Demetrius, do you mind going back and we
Yes,
can just
absolutely.
state that out? It's $15,325.
Okay, yeah, we did very well then, huh?
Yes, yes. Thanks for everyone's help, including yourself.
Very good. So then let's go ahead with some of the other updates, technical updates for the section. So first, a summary from the last community call last month in July. It was on July 13. We had 32 people attended, a little bit lower than previous calls, which is typical for the middle of the summer. Other than the regular technical section updates, we had a featured presentation by Isabel Witt-Dering from Halliburton. She presented again a paper that she presented at the drilling conference in Stavanger. This is the title of the paper. It was very interesting, even though it's mostly about drilling engineering and how to use high-frequency recorded data to address some drilling dysfunctions. I think there is a very direct link to automation, how to process the data and how you use the auto drillers, especially when you have joints going through, etc., to try to maintain constant weight on beat and avoid oscillations and stick slip and bouncing and vibrations and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was interesting. It was well received. And thanks to Paul, we have one or two more technical presentations in the pipeline for upcoming calls. So that having this kind of technical presentations in the community calls, I think is working well, and people are benefiting from this. And if you or anyone else in your organization has any similar presentations, technical presentations to share, please get in contact, and we will try to fit in as much as we can. Maybe we can squeeze 2 presentations in a call. The more knowledge we share, the better for the community, I think. On the DWIS side, this July was a slow month, not much activity. Many people have taken off, vacation, etc. But things are moving with a target of September 19. If you remember, we mentioned in the last call, that date is still the same, hasn't changed. I talked to Eric about a conflict that I think John mentioned. There are other events the week before and the week after, and it's difficult to move. But on the positive side, that demo will be available on Teams and will be recorded. So for all people that cannot attend that day, I think that we will be able to watch it offline afterwards, and we'll be able to follow basically the progress on that work. Just as a reminder, the objective of the demo is to show that advisors from different vendors can work together and adjust to each other and to the drilling conditions as they change. And the specific scenario that we're looking at is how to keep an optimal ROP following the processes that the operator dictates. As you hit a hard stringer, you go through that stringer and then you exit on the other side. So make sure that all the pieces, basically, all the moving pieces, advisors, work well together and they don't step over each other and we don't create conflicts and instabilities and that kind of stuff. So that's it's not an end game, it's a step on the way. I think it's going to be very useful, and I expect more questions to come out the end of it. But that's the idea, to keep digging into this bigger objective, bigger goal, and ask the right questions and address them one by one as we go. A second point on the DWIS, with the help of Matt and the rest of the advisory board, finally we were able to submit proposal, an abstract for the dealing conference, and essentially the paper is a position paper trying to make the business case for interoperability. And we're trying to engage as many people, a broad cross-section of the industry, to participate in this paper. I think there is a draft that is going around, and we're working on creating the full paper. So that's it, really, all I have for the DWIS. I don't know if there are any questions or any comments by anybody before we move to the next slide. Okay, let's move then. So I think we have Rodica here. Oh, there is a, sorry.
I think
yeah, please. I think both Eric and Matt, I saw. Yeah, Eric, go ahead, please.
Okay, I think Matt was before me, but
oh, sorry. Yeah, Matt then.
Yeah, I was just curious, is this going to be virtual, the demo? And if so, how would we get signed up for it? And then the second comment is around the SPE paper. We're still waiting to hear back from SPE whether it's been approved.
Okay,
but we expect that it will.
Eric?
Yes, so I can answer. So it will be on Teams. I will. So there is already a placeholder for the demonstration, and I will send to everybody who is recorded or registered for the use case coordination. Yeah.
And then from there we can forward to a broader.
Yes, exactly. So people can just continue, and so probably Matt, you are on that list, and you should probably receive the meeting invitation, and then you can forward that to whoever you want to could participate to this.
Yeah, very good.
And then for the demo, so we will try to put together some pieces which are coming from Halliburton and some pieces which are coming from Secal, and then that will be together with the drilling simulator that we have on our side, and hopefully we will be able to have something running. So I've had a meeting this earlier today with Halliburton, so we are making some progress on the communication with MQTT, with the composer from Clinton. So we try to enable all the different pieces which has been developed by the different work streams. And I also want to mention that the week before, I think, so the week of the 14th of September, so there will be a test which is done on our test rig about high-speed telemetry and multiple sensors which will be used, and together with Halliburton, so we're putting together a possible demonstration for the work stream for the semantic of drilling real-time signals, and hopefully we will be able to show that we have 3 different vendors providing 4 different tools, downhole tools, which can provide information and that you can discover on the fly which information is available and the type of information which is available. So that will be a live event with a real operation. Or it's a test operation, but it's still a live event.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Eric. Any other questions or comments from anybody? Okay, so then let's move to the next update. I think it's the verification and validation group. I think we have Rodica here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Dimitrios.
Rodica. Yeah.
Yes, as you mentioned, we had a bit low activity during the last month due to summer break, also in this group. So we continue basically next week with our first meeting of the summer. We continue with our tri-weekly meetings. And I put again that we are continuously working on attracting more members. So if you are interested, just get in touch. As I mentioned in the previous meeting, what we're working is on the verification and validation for the interplay when you have multiple systems trying to communicate and work together to check consistency of data and features in an automatic fashion. And we are trying to put together to see the question that we're addressing is it possible to have a framework where we can query and get this information on the fly. So we are currently having quite a lot of good discussions in the group. We are 9 people for the moment. And we are working on mapping relevant information that should be captured in this framework. For instance, we have been talking about latency, delays, health of the signals, health of the features. What is the minimum requirement to provide a safe system? We have been talking about heartbeat signal because it's a nice way to monitor when one of the systems is alive. At the same time, we are also investigating relevant examples, both from drilling, but also outside when it comes to systems of systems, and also looking at synergies with the work done now for this responsible AI systems. Yes. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Rodica.
Thank you.
This is, I think, a very big, important task. We have to help, I guess, keep focus on it because it's going to apply on many of the other activities that we have under DWIS. Okay, so let's move to the next topic, the Drillbotics organizational aspects and the competition. I think we have Fred here. I don't know, Fred, you want to go through this slide, or we discussed already the documentary and the voting. Maybe you can walk us through the competition results.
Okay. For those of you who have not heard, David Gibson is preparing a documentary. He has visited a number of the schools when they went over to Norway for the conference. They met some of the schools there. They went over to Belgium. They went to Germany. They've returned to Belgium for the Group B test, the final test exam that we had. David has raised, I told David, I said, we're not going to pay you for anything unless you raise the money. And he raised $13,000. They're probably going to spend twice that, maybe a little bit more. So anybody who hadn't voted, it's a good deal. Vote. Okay. We got the money. He raised the money. Give him some money back. All right. The competition was held. We had 2 teams for the physical rig for Group B, and we had 2 teams for Group A, the virtual rig. University of Stavanger took the well control option. So they detected a kick and closed in the well. And the Group B, Klausthal, developed their own rotary steerable tool. Excuse me. And what's really good about this one, they shortened the BHA, shortened the bit, really learned a lot from what they'd done in the past, and the improvement gave them the ability to actually build quite a bit of a build over in a very short period of time. 2 foot long rock, and they got 6 to 8 degrees, something like that. And this year, Greg, are you still on the call? You may not be.
I am. I am
Okay.
sorry, I was on mute.
Do you know when we're going to get the formal notification of papers being accepted?
That I'm not sure of. I'm just now, they haven't even started reaching out as far as event, requests and things like that. That should be coming very soon.
Okay.
I'll get with the event staff to see if I can find out if there's a date, like if they've got a target date for that yet.
Well, in that article that's supposed to be published, that I'll talk about in a minute, we talked about a joint paper being presented in Galveston.
Right.
I haven't seen the formal. I've got some spies on the inside that said we were approved, but I haven't seen the formal approval. And putting that in publication before the formal approval could be a little risky for us. Okay.
Do you know who the inside person is?
Nope, I don't.
No. Okay, I'll just
I
check
will
with
never admit such I will not
No,
reveal my sources. Okay.
I'll check with the event staff to see and try to get some details on that, and I can get back with you.
All we need to know is with the paper is if it was approved, and we will continue. But
Okay.
Be careful what we publish if it turns out we weren't approved. We'll have to edit that. Okay.
That's the comment, Fred, here. Last year, the approval went to someone that had moved on to a new role, and we missed it. And so the universities were not able to present the paper. That's because of some logistics that fell through the cracks, So
yeah,
I see why you are asking, to make sure that we don't have the same situation this year.
Right.
Okay.
So anyway,
I'll look into that.
So just wanted to pass out that these are the winners, and we're doing something different this year. We had a really tough time trying to decide which of the two were the genuine winners, and we decided to combine them. So this will be the first time that we're going to fly 2 teams to Galveston, and next year we'll be begging for more money. So starting your budget process now. You can put a little bit of extra cash in. We're going to have to pay for 2 teams to fly across an ocean to get to Galveston, so we'll need some help. There is an article that our committee wrote, and we've sent that to Greg, and he's trying to get it published in 2 or 3 places, JPT, and then maybe some of the online stuff as well. So it'll really give us some good publicity. So between that article, go ahead.
Fred, I submitted that to be submitted in JPT and the Way Ahead online magazines, journals. Also, I'm having it put into the regional email that goes out to all SPE members, and should be a LinkedIn and Facebook shout out on the SPE LinkedIn and Facebook pages as well.
Gee, correct. That's great, Greg. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't. Pam hasn't gotten back to me with the link yet to the JPT and Way Ahead, but it usually takes them a couple weeks, depending on how busy they are, to get that stuff put out.
Okay. Well, like I said, the only risky thing in there is the comment about a joint paper. So
right, and I'll check on that today.
Yeah,
just to clarify.
We have plans for next year. The 2024 system will. Guidelines will be almost identical to the ones from this year. We'll just beef up some few pieces in there. And this is a call to everybody. This is a call to everyone on this phone call. We need some mentors. The things that we're asking them to do are not really in textbooks. And so we're going to try to put together some 30-minute webinars, if you will, on a number of subjects, for directional drilling to well control and things like that. So if anybody wants to participate, we've had help from Robert Wiley and the guys at WPTS, but we got to put these things together in short versions that the students can understand. And it may not be super technical to start with, and then we can drill down into that. But we may have to put together a series of these, and I'll work with the different volunteers who want to help me with that. Okay. And then, of course, like I said earlier, we're going to need more money. So I close every call with, we need more money. But I'm telling you, these teams, they're getting better. They're doing some good work.
Very good. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you. And thank you, Greg. I appreciate what you're doing.
Excellent. Any questions for
Very
Fred?
welcome.
Hey, Fred, since David Gibson's putting so much money in himself into this, is he going to get some branding on it for him for payback?
I sure hope so.
Okay.
Absolutely. He wants to submit it to some kind of documentary competition. I don't know exactly which one. So that'll help him as well. But they've really got some great aspirations for what they want to do with it. We'll see how it goes.
I've got a quick process question, Demetrius, on this.
Yes.
I mean, I'm good with it all. Okay. I'm just thinking going forward in terms of the struggle to get the votes to have David paid for work that was commissioned. Do we have a kind of contract or any kind of contract description with him that we're just voting on? And if we don't, shouldn't we have that kind of thing in future maybe? In other words, when we commission work, there should be some description that we're then voting something that might make it easier to get the things paid, rather than waiting for everybody to step up and check their boxes.
It's a good point, Robert. I'm not sure if there was a proposal and outlining the documentary, or it's completely up to David what he produces. I cannot answer that question really. Fred, any idea here what we're looking at?
I think what Robert's saying is it's a good point, and we'll do that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's general for the DSATS. I think we've found ourselves in a similar situation a couple of times this year already. So just a matter of making sure that we've got people looking to get paid for something, that we have something in writing up front to make it a lot easier to finish off the process and get it done effectively.
Yeah. I mean, the good point here, the good part is that David raised the money, where before it was an invoice that we received without having prior approval. They are not exactly identical situations, but nevertheless, the point is still relevant, and we need to have a scope of work and something for the record before we make a payment. Absolutely. Thank you, Robert. That's a good point. Anything else?
No, not me.
Very good. Let's move on then. So human factors, I think Sasi is not able to join, if I'm not mistaken. He had some conflict. But so the proposal was presented to the ART group, Blaine and Sarah. It was received positively. The feedback that they provided was that the deliverables need to be outlined in greater detail before it goes to the IADC committee for approval. And I think that's where it stands. There is work going on with Sasi and the DCS group. Low, as you can imagine, but it's moving. It's not stalled, this effort. Cannot add any more details. I think that's all there is really to it. If there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Sasin, and we'll get them answered. And that's pretty much it for the activities that we have. We can move on to the events. I don't know if we have Deep on the call or no, but that's where we are. Oh, sorry.
Dimitrios,
Yes.
may I just interrupt you? So
Sure.
just an update on the subcommittee drilling data quality and uncertainty description, since we are still working on that. So we have a paper which has been accepted for the SPATC in October, and we have so it is it will be presented at the ATCE, and it has been written by quite a few people in the group. And also we have submitted an abstract for the SPE Training Conference 2024. So, and then when we will be finished with those, so if the second paper is accepted, so we will shut down the training data quality and uncertainty description subcommittee.
Thank you, Eric. Sorry, I missed that. I need to do a better job getting all the updates before putting the deck together. But thank you for completing that gap, that missing point. So on the webinars, that's where we stand. Serafima had presented a paper in the spring in Malaysia, and she very kindly offered to present that same paper as a webinar in September. So I think that's going to be very interesting. We have an SPE live spot at the end of this month, which is still open. We haven't filled anything. And if anybody has something that we'd like to share with the community, I don't think it's too late to do that. We can still try to fill that spot. After that, the next major event is the reception that Austin is putting together at the ATCE. That is going well. It's going to be a brief event on Monday afternoon. We have something like 10 or 12 experts from the industry that will host mostly younger people in the industry, and the theme will be automation and geothermal. This is a joint event. It's a social. There is no papers, presentations, etc. Panels. It's rather informal, and what we're hoping to achieve there is younger people mixing up with the more senior people and feel comfortable to connect and discuss and learn and share ideas. So that's the concept there. And we have one more webinar for the remaining of the year in November. You can see there. It's still open also, that one. If anyone has something that would like to share, please also get in contact with me or Deep, and we'll go through the process of scheduling and putting it on the calendar. So that's it for upcoming events. Unless I've missed something, feel free to.
Yeah, Dimitrios, the
Yes.
SPE Live, maybe it's a good idea for Drillbotics to take that, because it's a 30-minute event that goes out across the SPE universe. It'd be a great advertisement for Drillbotics, and it's more of a chat kind of thing. So, there's a moderator who asks questions which are all pre-planned. Fred doing a description of what's been happening with Drillbotics could be very effective.
I think that's a good idea. Fred, what do you think?
Let me get some help and see what we can come up with.
Okay, excellent. Like I said, we have 20 days to make it happen. I think it's still possible.
Yeah, it's only 30 minutes. And then if you find yourself a moderator, then you set up questions that you want to be asked. And of course, you prep the answers. So it's all a prepped kind of event.
Yeah. Good suggestion, John. Thank you. I think that was
at the event.
Yeah.
The event at ATCE, we've kind of lost geothermal. They haven't really participated in it. Austin's pushed the thing ahead very well and got some great experts to stand at the tables and have the discussions. But even by SPE now, SPE's just branded it as DSATS.
Okay. The pity we don't have Tony. He couldn't make it. He's on a plane right now. And I know that section, the geothermal technical section, have a couple of events, maybe more than 2. So this kind of was not the focal point for them, at least,
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
they have 2. Yeah, they have 2 others. You're right. So
yeah.
I think he kind of probably got overloaded.
Yeah.
On
Okay.
that topic, I've got a quick question. You said something about trying to put groups together of various ages for that. Is that in tables or how's that working?
So we're going to have tables where the hosts, so to speak, will be staying, and the participants, the attendees, will be going around. They will be free to go around and participate in any of those tables at any time they like. There is no time slots or anything.
Okay, here's a silly suggestion, just an idea off the top of my head. Okay,
Yeah.
we've got a bunch of AI software people, all the rest of it, right? If we're looking to have a mix of ages at these tables, if there's an average age kind of calculated at the people at that table or that area, and you can only go if you're trying to move it towards a set average, then that would encourage tables that have got a bunch of younger people to have older people move towards.
Trying to mix it up, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. That's interesting. Let's
A
think.
technical challenge for a couple of people, but it could be a bit of a talking point in terms of helping getting people mixed up too.
Yeah. Okay. I'll bring it up with Austin and see what we'll come up with. You know, it is. Does that mean that we need to know the age of the participants, Robert?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see how we can make it work if we can. Thank you. So, I mean, that's it really for the update. This is the last slide that I have with the same key points. At the end over there, I need your help here. Normally, we have the calls the second Thursday of each month, but in September 14 is that day. And this year, it happens to be the couple of events, other events going on. The one is the one that Eric mentioned, that test at North, but also the ART conference is on September 14, 15. A lot of the people on this call, I think, will be there. So I think it's not going to be a good idea to hold our community call as scheduled. So do you prefer to move it to the week before or after the September 14?
The week before is offshore Europe, and the week after you'll be able to maybe follow up on the results of the September 17th demo.
Okay, I think that makes sense. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, well, for October though, we won't have one, right? Because we'll be with the
ATC.
right.
Yeah.
So doing the week later makes sense to me.
Okay, very good. I'll update the schedule. There is no invitation sent out yet. Typically, we send those invitations. Greg sent those invitations a week or two before the event, so we have the latest membership numbers, and that will be the case for next month. And we're going to push it to September 21st. And that's it, really. I don't have anything else. Any other points that anyone would like to bring up before we hang up?
Hey, maybe we ought to start thinking. I mean, we said a couple of words, and Austin said he's going to get back to me for the event in March in Galveston next year. It's probably time to get started. And the idea that I suggested that you thought was a good one is to do like we did 2013 and 2016, where we got experts from outside our industry, three of them doing keynotes. You mentioned SpaceX. I think if we worked hard, we could probably find somebody who might be very interesting. It's probably time to start this if we want to do it. Austin sounded positive, and he said he wanted to talk to me about the format and stuff, but I haven't heard from him. He's probably pretty busy.
Yeah, I agree. We need to pick that up. Yeah. I mean, I think the first step is to try to identify the experts, the names, John, right? Few names.
Yeah, I mean, we have to go search out people, and before, I found people through people. We found, Tom Sheridan, for example, through Amanda, and then I found Alonso Vera just by looking out in the internet and sending him an email, and eventually he replied. So, and also with Rio Tinto, those guys, I emailed them and they replied, and they flew two of them up from Australia to Amsterdam. They
Wow.
combined it with another European trip, but they came to our event from Australia. So, you know,
Yeah.
we can do some pretty incredible things if we get out there and ask people.
Ahead of time. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Along those lines, carbon capture and storage is turning out to be quite a big thing these days. I'm just wondering if there's anybody we can think of there that might be able to contribute to that, because I think we may be focused on drilling the well, but drilling systems includes the rigs and all the carbon generation around that. And I know a couple of the contractors have got efforts in place in terms of reducing their carbon footprint. I wonder if there's anything along those lines that any of those companies might want to contribute or suggest along the lines of that area.
Interesting. Really interesting.
Whether it's carbon capture and sequestration, which is going to be increasing, or whether it's reduction of the carbon footprint of the drilling process itself, which you would think drilling systems might be effective in, because how you drill the well can change the carbon generated.
I know that at the art conference, they have a whole section, I believe, about, you know, how you power the rig. And they're looking at batteries and at different ways of different
Yep.
fuels and reducing the footprint. And certainly there is technology there is automation there. Now, if we put that under drilling automation, then it certainly falls under what you are describing.
Yeah, I think the thing is it automation? You know, if we can get somebody from SpaceX and someone from another very advanced industry that can talk about the automation they're doing, that's a real eye-opener for everybody, that would be worthwhile.
The carbon capture industry is a lot of automation systems processes, like we see downstream kind of thing. There's a lot of different methods of that where they adjust the processes automatically. It just depends how that links into drilling systems and how you see our drilling systems extend to that.
Okay.
Well, I think just to get clear on that, that's two different directions I hear going here. What John's proposing, what Robert's proposing. Because one's the application, one's the technology. Which one are we doing?
I'm throwing
Well,
out
the idea-
ideas, just generally ideas in terms of how we extend, you know, how we incorporate some of the themes, the modern themes of the world in terms of where we're going. And part of that is maybe coming from outside of our traditional industry as well. And I'm kind of I'm not disagreeing with John here. Suggesting there's an extension there in terms of other industries that are doing automation that actually start to intersect with our industry as well.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to say is the technology focus versus the application. So in this case, I'm just testing this. Sorry, but is this like, would robotics fit into this or not?
Would what fit in?
Robotics. I mean, it's just for consideration. What's that?
Yeah, advanced robotics from another industry would fit in. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get. Yeah, I'm trying to scope this. So
Yeah.
if we're gonna go out,
You remember when we had Rio Tinto, we had Heron Connect and someone else. So we had three different companies in the mining space talking about mining automation, and it was very well received. And then when we had Tom Sheridan, Mike Withers, and Alonso Vera in Fort Worth in 2016, there were three different areas of interest, but that was very well received as well. So the thought was maybe it's time now to get the outsiders in advanced industries to come talk to us, people, experts that someone would want to come and listen to learn from them. SpaceX was one that Demetrios raised because they're pretty advanced and the way they test stuff and implement stuff is quite incredible. And I think robotics could be one. Mechatronics is in Houston. Mechatronics is a robotics company that we used to know a guy who ran it. They'd have some fairly advanced robotics, or even get Boston Dynamics to come talk to us.
yeah. And that's why I was just trying to make sure we got to keep the thread aligned, because I thought we were looking for outside the industry. And I mean, I would challenge, the only reason I bring this up, Robert, is that I would challenge knowing what I know about carbon capture right now, and I've actually been involved with it for almost 20 years now, I would not pick that industry as thought leading in terms of automation and robotics. That's the reason.
Yeah,
The
fair enough.
application, that's all.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think the automation aspect of carbon capture, what I'm seeing in recent developments in technology, is trying to change some of the cost efficiencies, but it's a lot of systems engineering from a process engineering perspective, which there was a gentleman, I think it was Exxon in the early days, that was involved in DSATS, and it's a lot of us kind of looked at and went, oh yeah, that's great, that's just standard process engineering that is totally irrelevant to what we're doing, because every time we do something that's different, I think we're starting to realize a lot of the stuff we do is very much process oriented, even though there is some variability in the end game, more than we, so I'm just throwing out ideas.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we just need to be conscious of someone could control who we're going to go after to some degree. If we can make a theme out of it. That's all.
Michael, you're right. Theme's the word. What's the theme? And once we decide a theme, then we can see where we can go hunt some people down.
Right.
That's the order to do it in. Yeah.
Okay, that was it. I just wanted to add to that. So
I'll get with Austin, and we have to start putting some flesh on this framework. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Any other points before we close it?
No, but Mike, I'd love to have a chat with you about carbon capture stuff sometime. You get a chance.
Okay.
I can tell you some horror stories. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, let me know when you get time for a coffee, and I'll go listen to them.
After the 28th.
Yeah, after the 28th, Robert, I'm available.
But he then costs money, Robert. Watch out.
Yeah. Well, a few hours here and there are okay, but.
Very good. Thank you very much, all. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.